News stories were coming in about this strange virus in Wuhan, China. It was weeks before we saw the first cases in the U.S. As the numbers went up each day, my curiosity got the best of me, and I started plotting the curves. Here's stories from real people all over the world and how they've responded. I'm Sally Hendrick, founder of Shout Your Cause, and this is COVID-19, The World Responds. Hello, Lisa Feren. How are you doing today?
Hi, Sally. I'm good. Thank you.
Good. We haven't talked in a couple of years. And
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we met in an online business group, which I think is really cool. I call it Planet Facebook, where we met, and a lot of people in my world these days tend to be from that new way of communicating and meeting people online. And so it's good to reconnect after a little bit.
Right, but we had the real face-to-face when you were in San Diego.
We did
dinner
go out.
And a rooftop the year after, I believe.
Oh,
a
yeah.
Rooftop happy hour. So
was that at Lindsay's? That was at
Yes.
Lindsay's place?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, that's cool. And I do come out to San Diego for the social media marketing world most of the time and try to communicate with people that I've met in the online space. And so it's always good to connect again. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a business owner, you've got all of these things you're juggling, and COVID-19 happened and the life that we planned is no longer in our plans anymore. We can't keep up with all of that. And so I wanted to talk to you, not just from the business owner perspective, which is what I do with a lot of people, but from the mom perspective. What is it that you're having to deal with right now?
So it's really interesting because our lives were incredibly scheduled. Both my kids had activities every single day, and from right after school till 7:30 at night. I mean, I was just shuttling them and driving them around so they could get to where they needed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Dinner was like non-existent, and my husband is also crazy hours, so it's all me. And all of a sudden the brakes got put on it. It literally was like going 100 miles an hour to like a screeching halt. So the first few weeks actually felt okay because it was novel, it was new, it was like, whoa, we have like all this new freedom and all this new time, and it was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Until it really surfaced like, oh, this is not just 2 weeks, this is going longer, and school is now online and kids are now home full time, and how we were going to manage that. And that was difficult.
Are you finished with school right now with your kids?
We have one more week.
Oh.
I think my saving grace for my son is that he's in 8th grade, and although he's missing, promotion and the end of the year party, which he was looking forward to, he was just so ready to move on to high school. So he never really mourned like, oh my God, I'm so sad about this.
Sad about that was 8th grade, finishing up 8th grade.
Right. And I couldn't imagine our kids in a time of not having, their devices, because my 12-year-old daughter has been on FaceTime with her friends nonstop. I call her my exchange student. She literally stays in her room all day. She comes down for dinner and she goes right back upstairs. I don't even see her. So
that's the way my 16-year-old is as well.
Right. But at the same time, it's not natural. It's not natural to not have your peers going through, puberty, and this time where you need your friends to slap you for saying something stupid, or it's like social graces, and it's not right to be sitting on phones and not in person. And so that's been interesting too. But yeah, we have one more week of school.
Okay.
My kids have pretty much half-assed it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure a lot of them did. They did what they needed to do, and now they're like, peace out.
Our school changed some of the grading process. They went to, at least on some of the classes, they went to a pass-fail option.
Yeah.
Did yours do that, or did you just still stick with the number system or whatever it is, the ABC?
Actually, as of I think this week, they just told us that they were keeping the grade your child had before COVID. So whatever they were doing before COVID is what they're continuing with. Again, I'm lucky with middle schoolers that it doesn't, count. So
Right.
whether it was a pass fail or an A or B, I was more concerned with just keeping up with, their grade level math and their grade level reading and everything that they needed to do for their grade level, not as much as like, did they pass a test? So
Right. So as far as plans and after school activities, tell me a little bit about what your kids were into that they were going to get to experience that now has totally changed.
Yeah, well, it's been a hard day actually. So my daughter is in theater, and she just moved to the big competitive theater in San Diego. It's the biggest or the longest running junior theater in the country, and she was starring. She got the role of Matilda in Matilda. And so they practiced for 2 weeks or rehearsed or whatever they want to call it. And then it all got shut down. And we've basically been waiting just to see if they'll put it on the schedule and when it's going to open. And it's in city buildings, so the city won't open. They can't resume. We just got the final news today that they're canceling it all. So today was rough, but that was taking up a ton of my daughter's time, and she was an assistant stage manager to another show prior to that. She was there every single day for 2 months, and so that's been hard. And trying to keep a semblance of life, I keep her lessons going. They're on Zoom and they're not as personal, but I try to get her to keep going in that. So she's still working her craft and getting to sing and do her thing.
That's good.
And as far as my son, he sails. So he does sailing racing. And so same thing, one regatta canceled, and then the next canceled, and then the next canceled. And then they in San Diego, they said they couldn't even get on your boat anymore. Boating was prohibited. So he couldn't even get on the water. So that was huge. Now they're allowed to get on the water again. He's been in his boat a little bit. But I think that the main theme for my kids, and probably for everybody's kids, is that there's nothing to work towards and nothing to look forward to. So the kids don't have a carrot or a driving factor, and that makes them, I don't want to say lazy, but it makes them just not as caring about what they're doing.
Yeah, the motivation just kind of
gone.
Slides away.
And even if they said, regattas can continue, they were saying that they literally would have no parents watching. They would have the kids get right in their boats. They would do their races, and then they would go home. And half the fun is hanging out with your friends on the water and the celebration afterwards. So that just kind of takes the excitement away from it.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Now, what about for vacations, summer plans? What's going on there?
Yeah, well, Hawaii in June was canceled. So
Hawaii's really strict.
Oh God, I'm so sad about that. But again, and my opinion may differ from people listening. I don't even know if I want to get in an airplane. They're dangerous enough on a good day. I just don't know if that's where I'm at. So we have canceled summer plans. We are not going to be going away. Luckily, my husband and I snaked in a solo trip to Paris and got back right before everything closed. So I feel like I got that. That was good. But no, we're not going to go away for the summer. We're going to stick close to home. And we've been making travel a priority for the last 5 years. So now we might just throw some money into the house and fix things up that have been neglected because we've been traveling instead of, fixing up the house.
We actually planted a rooftop garden and we haven't done that in a really long time because we normally we leave for several weeks in the summer and go on a nice vacation, or at least, all of us kind of split up and go different places. And it never made sense to really plant anything because we couldn't stay here to take care of it. and it was
Right.
silly to pay someone to take care of it. Nobody was going to see it, it's on the roof. So so anyway, we've decided to plant lots of herbs and some vegetables and different plants around the deck outside, and we've been enjoying being outside there for a lot, which is very isolated from, everyone else. So that's been kind of cool. But yeah, we had plans as well. We were going to Europe. I had 2 business trips in Europe that were canceled. And then we're still not sure yet, but my daughter was supposed to go study in Spain this fall, but I don't know. We just don't know yet. They've been given information from time to time, but we're still just kind of hanging on, not really knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest. It's the waiting game. What is canceled? And if it's not canceled, how is it going to look? And then I think there's also some, for me anyway, anxiety around when and if things do not cancel. Like if that trip actually happens, what's your comfort level in even sending her, right?
Exactly. And then my youngest is supposed to go to a rising senior program for high school, for it's a college program for high school students, to get some credits and be able to interact with other kids and experience some classes and get some credit, that sort of thing. And they're moving it to online, and it's kind of like, well, it's just, the excitement's a little bit not there.
Here's a really big thought. Are you ready for my big thought?
Yeah.
Here's my big thought around parenting. It's not just my kids who have had heartbreaking, things cancel and disappointment. It's all of these kids that, were looking forward to college or had to come home during their college year, or missing things for their senior year and their prom and walking across the stage for graduation. And I was thinking about that pretty deeply, because I guess it's now literally the world is pre-COVID and post-COVID, right? And I didn't want to put that on my kids, because it was my experience. Like, I'm so sad for you. You don't get to walk across the stage because I did it and it was important to me. I'm so sad you're not going to be in a dorm for your freshman year because I did it. Yeah. And that was so amazing. And I'm sad you won't have it.
Like you're setting them up for disappointment, and you don't want to do that.
Right. So our kids are going to have something new that we have to literally break from our past and our childhood about, because theirs will be completely different. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. It's just going to be different.
Yeah, it will. Now, we've got a lot of people out there who don't believe this and who think that everything's just going to be back to normal. And a lot of people are behaving as if everything is okay. Yes. And every chance that they get when some sort of mandate is reduced or released, they're taking off and just going like gangbusters, like, hey, we're here and we get to do this and we're going to be here. And like, you see all these different parties and things that happened over Memorial Day weekend, lots of different places where people were together. And, excuse me, don't let me forget this weekend's crazy protests that were everywhere. And it's like, a lot of people here wore masks, but they weren't doing the social distancing. Right. So, of course, there's this fear that we're going to have this huge resurgence of cases, and that this thing, and even before the protests, it's like, this thing's not going anywhere. You've got a unique perspective on this because your husband. So tell me about that.
Right. So he's got a microbiology / chemistry major, I believe. The microbiology part is there. And I mean, I've been living with him for, 21 years, and the man never touches a door handle and washes his hands after he touches a menu. And, he's been living this way. I mean, he's laughing because he's like, oh my God, finally people are living the way I'm living. Like, this is great. But, but he also, and I should say, I've had so many Facebook fights, and I don't fight with people. It's insane about the hospital. So when you're walking around, no, you're not seeing sickness and you're not seeing death, and you're seeing the healthy people walk around. And that does not mean that things are okay. The hospitals have full COVID ICU wards. We have a lot of people from Mexico, obviously, because we're right on the border, and a lot of our patients are from Mexico, and they're
Mm-hmm.
here, they're in our hospitals, they're turfing things to other hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
It's full. I mean, they are, this is here. And I think it's just with everything in life, until it really hits home, you're like, oh, really? I'm really sorry about that. But until it really hits home and you know someone who's gotten
Mm-hmm.
sick or died, you can't process it. So
Yeah.
when you're going to the beach and you're going to Trader Joe's, it doesn't look like it's out there. So I get it. I really do get it. And I also get that the economic lines are really crossed. And if people can't flourish financially, they can't flourish mentally, and it doesn't matter. So it really is, at what point do we try to get back a semblance of life and stay healthy? And I don't know what the answer is to that. I just
Mm-hmm.
know that with everything opening up, I'm going to sit back still, and I'm going to just let things play out and see if the cases keep rising and if they flatten out. And I was just hoping that miraculously it would just go away, like people like suspected. I don't know.
It doesn't seem to be going away. I keep checking the websites every day, and the numbers just keep skyrocketing. It's
And
pretty insane.
your numbers, I've actually showed your numbers to my husband. I'm like,
oh, really?
Sally knows what's going on. Sally's got this. Look at what the research she's done. I think for me, because I'm immersed in a Western medicine world, when I hear people talk about like, well, I'm keeping my immune system up, and I totally know if I'm not going to get it. And it's like, well, that's great, but you really have no idea how your body is going to react to a virus that it's never seen before, and you really have no idea of what's happening. So that's great that you're staying healthy, but you really have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to do everything with all of the precautions to try to not get it, not just stay healthy or eat healthier or do all of those immune boosting activities or whatever. So, yeah.
And I used the word anxiety before, and it's, again, it's anxiety provoking to me because I don't want my kids to be left out. I don't want to be left out. When I see people getting together and I see people going to restaurants and I want to hang back, I'm literally looking at it like, wow, am I going to lose friends because people are going to think I'm the crazy one because I just want to, keep this isolation going a little bit longer,
I read something, and I can't remember if it was this morning or if it was yesterday, but it talked about the difference. You know how a lot of people are saying, oh, don't be fearful, or, oh, you're just afraid. And it's like, no, not really. I don't think people are as much afraid. That's an emotional response to something. But I think people are just cautious because of the danger. And when you've got something that's dangerous, you need to, go forth with caution around it. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're afraid. Now, you could get some anxiety around it because there are the social constructs that are happening, and the pressures, the peer pressure and all of that with, going to a birthday party or attending a wedding or going to a restaurant for something, or, whatever. We've been invited to a couple of things, funerals even. We've been invited to, we had a family funeral that we did not attend. We had, there's a wedding party coming up that I'm pretty sure we will not attend. And those types of things, it's just like, we have somebody who's elderly in our family that we take care of, and we have to make sure that we're staying as cautious as we possibly can, because there's always that chance that we would be asymptomatic, and people just don't understand that whole piece of it, of the asymptomatic, danger there.
And I don't think it's first of all, I'm not stopping my life, and I haven't actually looked at the last few weeks as me stopping my life at all. I've been working with my business. I've got clients. I've been hanging out with my kids. I've been taking lots of walks with the dog. We bought a barbecue. I've eaten better. And my son and my husband won't let me touch the barbecue, so they're cooking and cleaning for me. Finally, I'm like, woo! But,
exactly.
I don't feel like I've lost my freedom or my rights or anything. I really haven't. I mean, really, it's annoying going to the grocery store and having to wait in line, and my husband's been making us wipe down the groceries before they come in. So some of that stuff is obviously more cumbersome than it used to be.
It's an inconvenience.
I just look at it as being cautious. And am I afraid of dying from COVID? I'm actually not afraid of dying from it. I'm more being cautious because I have children that rely on me. I can't be down for 2-3 weeks. First off. And secondly, I'm more afraid of the consequence of living with some like bad outcome for my liver or my heart or whatever it attacks. And I don't want to live that way. So it's not a fear thing. And I don't want to be cliche about the Facebook memes, but I wear a seatbelt, I wear a helmet, I do those other things as precautions. So why wouldn't I be cautious about this too?
Exactly. Like anything else.
Right.
So what about your hopes for what's going to happen with this? Because a lot of people are like, the environment's improving, people aren't driving as much, you don't have, people are not polluting things as much because they're not out like normal. Other things like as far as, kids being able to communicate in a different way. There's learning in all of that. All kinds of things that we're experiencing. What do you think is going to be the good outcome from this?
Well, I would first say that there's a humongous section of the population that's literally doing this, and they're just ready to run as soon as everything's open. So I really have a feeling that as soon as everything opens up and that section of the population will be right back to where they were. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what? You do you, and go out and do your thing. And that's what I think it's going to come down to. What I'm hoping for, for all the kids in the fall is, and our school is looking at maybe like a hybrid situation where they stagger the students more, and there's a hybrid of maybe 2 days at home, 3 days in the classroom. So maybe they can go to that. People will spend more time, we can in San Diego, outside instead of in home. So people are not, confined. I don't know. I think maybe it'll look like that.
Yeah.
Hoping for either a vaccine or some sort of like Tamiflu for COVID.
Right. What would you call it?
Right.
I don't know.
Herd immunity. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the whole herd immunity thing, from what I understand, 70% of the population has to either get it or be vaccinated to achieve herd immunity. So that's kind of a long way away. So we've got to figure out how to navigate this as we go. Whole new normal here, whatever that may be.
I think that, how do I say this in a nice way? I think that other countries, and listen, we're 330 million people. I mean, the countries that people are trying to compare us to literally are the entire size of like San Diego and Orange County. It's like two counties in California make their entire population. So it's a lot easier to, I don't want to use the word control, but it's easier to control a population of that size versus, millions of people. But I think everybody just wants to live their life, and they want to look at their lives, and people won't look at it collectively as a whole of what they can do. And some will. And I know that no matter what we say, like I said, no matter what we say, there will always be someone to, rebut it or yell at me for it. It's true. It's
a sensitive time. It's really easy to push buttons and to, kind of hit those sensitive spots because people are feeling very raw and exposed these days. And it's kind of an unfair position to be in from any angle. So I guess we're going to have to get some emotional intelligence to be able to move forward in that, right?
Yeah, I go day by day, and some days are awesome, and some days are rough. Some days I look at it and I'm, like I said, happy as can be, and other days I'm like depressed by what it looks like. And I think just taking a new outlook on it, and it will be what it will be, but it won't be what it was before.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that we've got a whole new way of life in a lot of different ways, but that can be a good thing as well. I'm looking forward to the fact that a lot more people will have access to education that they didn't before, just because a lot will be on the internet, and other things that people will have access to and awareness around that otherwise they never experienced because they kind of live in their own little bubbles. So we'll see what happens.
I know.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. It's been great talking with you today. And I look forward to
you.
Go ahead.
Giving me an opportunity to put makeup on and actually,
Exactly, because we've all been just
today
in our sweatpants and no makeup for the last 2 months, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, nice talking with you, Sally. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sure. Thank you for listening today. Subscribe to this podcast to hear all our episodes. Go to shoutyourcause.com to our podcast page for information on our guests and notes from this show.